Please, Mustafi, maybe we will start in a moment.
Wait a minute. Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to our supporting lecture series to International Student Program. Today we have two speakers, Mr. Cihad Gunduz, Tesol from Dicle University, and Mr. Riefki Fajar Ganda Wiguna. And we will talk about the introduction to the fundamental of the research and designing your background and formulating your research question. And this lecture is to support to our student, especially for final academic, final architectural student, and also for print and portfolio to support their writing technique. And today, the supporting lecture we will moderate for the moderate Mas Riefki atau Pak Riefki ya, will be the moderator, and we have 2 hours. For the first session, we have 1 hours, and then the second for the second session for 1 hours. And after for one session, moderator, we will going to the Q&A. Thank you very much, Mr. Cihad, for coming here. And I hope we can enjoy about the research for your presentation and also for Mr. Riefki. And then this screen I will going to Mas Riefki. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mustafi. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Everyone?
Great.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable, all the lecturers of architecture department, and then our beloved students, thank you very much for joining this class in this weekend. I know it's very hard to join the class in the long weekend, so I do appreciate your attendance to join this agenda. So in this session, we would like to divide the session into 2 sessions. So the first session, we will discuss about the fundamental of research. And then in this session, my name is Riefki Fajar Ganda Wiguna. I will be the moderator for the first session. So the first session will be delivered by Mr. Cihad Gunduz. Currently, he is teaching at Dicle University. So we are very lucky for having him to discuss about research. And without any further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Cihad to start his presentation. To Mr. Cihad, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with you today with the architecture students and staff here. I hope we can enjoy what we are doing together and get a general list just for the research idea and what's research and make a general introduction to research. I want to share my screen with you. So we start with introduction to fundamentals of research today. I hope we can enjoy our session. Before we start, I want you to dream about research. What is research? What comes to your mind when you think about research? Please just a little bit of seconds, close your eyes and think about research. What do you think? What is research? What comes to your mind? Maybe some kind of people who is graduating and taking something to their house, like trophies. Okay, I graduated from somewhere. What comes to your mind? Any idea? Anyone? Who wants to share any thoughts with us? What comes to your mind when I say research?
I think to know.
To know what, for example? What comes to your mind? When you close your eyes, do you see a sandy beach somewhere and people walking around and swimming? Or some architectural buildings coming up? What kind of thing you think when you say research?
Yeah. Maybe to understand.
Understanding something. Maybe there's a problem that you want to understand.
Yeah. So like
Anybody else?
maybe like if it's the beach, not just knowing that there is people there, but understand why there is people there. Maybe.
Ah, so you start to ask some questions to understand what's going on around you. Cool. That's very nice. Anybody else who wants to share their thoughts? What came up to your mind? What popped up there to think about research?
Maybe finding a new world, something like that. Because like when you doing research, sometimes you find something that you're not expected. Like it's sometimes fascinating at the time.
Okay, so you open a new world. So when you close your eyes, we are not in the dunya. We are not in the world anymore. There's a new world opening up for us. So anybody else? Any thoughts? Opening new worlds, knowledge, or understanding why. Anything else that comes up to your mind? No? Okay, then we can continue. I don't want to take your time too long, but I just want you to focus on what comes to your mind. Even if you don't share it here, we will have a look at what research is and what different people thought about what research is. So, think about in your mind. For example, when I close my eyes, I think of a lab. People are doing something and trying to solve some issues in a lab and exchanging some thoughts with each other. Or maybe a dissertation ceremony. Some scholars are coming. Yes, you did well, and you're a graduate of our own. You finished your research. And when you think of research, maybe somebody thought about too many boring readings, a lot of articles, books going on, and no way to finish everything. Always reading and reading and reading, sitting somewhere and thinking about it. Or is it finding a solution to a problem? We always have problems in life, and we need to find some solutions to our problems. And like the sandy beach, why the beach is there? Why am I in the beach? Why am I in a spaceship going to some new worlds? Why am I living in this world? Why is there some problem here? Why people putting out garbage outside? Why they don't design a good buildings? What the hell is that architecture thought about doing something? So it's always new ideas coming up, popping up, and there's a problem there. There is something that irritates your mind when you think about research. Alright, I want you to imagine again that you own a company and sales figures are going lower and lower. But you have given a lot of money, you invested a lot. How can you cope with the problem? Yesterday I heard some news from Turkey, a person who came up from his village and brought all the animals and sold in the city center, thought about living in the city center, buying and selling animals and doing some stuff, entering into business of building, and then right now he doesn't even have a single piece of bread to live. So what happened here? What's the problem? And how can we think about how can we make the sales figures going up? Please give me some ideas. You have got a lot of investments, but you want to change the situation. How can you increase the sales figures? How can you cope with this problem? You're owner of the company. You've got a lot of money, but the money is going lower and lower. Any ideas? Think about it for a second. Don't rush. Try to find some solutions to this problem, please.
taking a loan.
Okay, taking a new loan. All right, let me write them down. Okay, the first solution is taking a loan. All right. Any ideas? Anybody else?
Finding a way to raise the value of the money.
Finding ways to increase the value of the money. How so? Can you please a little bit give more information on this? I'm lost. Okay, think about a cloth company. We produce shirts and t-shirts for everyone, or pullovers, or let's say shoes or something. You have this company and you made a big opening, everything is going well, or you own a small patisserie shop, but people don't buy your products. It's getting lower and lower. So the first thing is getting a new loan, getting a lot of money, more money to invest, or finding ways to increase the value of the money that you invested. Anything else? What else? You own a company, you've got a lot of people. And ask them, hey, come on guys, what's the problem?
What about if we try to find out the problems, like why is it going lower and lower? So we try to find the problem first. Why?
Asking why. So you like asking why, as far as I understood. You are searching for the meaning of everything. Asking why. Asking why to whom and how and to what extent you can blame people. Think about it. You ask why to whom? To yourself? Okay, asking why.
So maybe first to ourselves, and maybe like we miscalculated about the market, like we miscalculated about the market, and maybe anything else.
All right. Any ideas? You've got the company, you've got the money. There's a problem. Help us to solve it. Going to the bank, taking much more loans and give interest to them, I think it's gonna make things worse. You have to change something. You have to change your attitude. Maybe, but how? Maybe closing the company. Is it a solution? But maybe it's a solution. Of course, you have to know when to stop. Stopping at the correct point may be important, because many people are having many urges to go on over and over and over, and then they go bankrupt. So stopping at some point is also important. But taking loan to invest in the correct way may be, but you have to be careful. You have to think about it. You have to ask and collect your team. You've got an IT department. You've got an, let's say, advertisement department. Collect all of them and come together and ask, hey guys, what's the problem? I invested a lot of money and I pay for your monthly allowance. And what's the problem? Come, let's make a meeting and try to find out the problem. Why? Why our sales figures are going down? Are we selling cheap products or quality products? As far as I know, from the clothing companies, the value of the clothes don't differ much, even if you buy a very good brand, even if you buy a low budgeted but known product. So, for example, the value of the fabric is about $5 for, let's say, Lacoste or Tommy or any other brand. I don't want to name them because it's dangerous, you know, in this world. X brand and the Y brand. And think about the company that you locally have in Indonesia, which sells a good bargain, very cheap prices. Do you think that it differs a lot? Of course there is a difference, but the difference may be only 5%, but the price of the difference is about 100%. You give $5 to something, but you give $100 to another thing. So there's a huge gap. But you know, what we say, it's a good quality. They make good advertisement and they earn a lot of money. They have got good sales figure. Why? Even if they don't give a good quality thing, they have got much more money to invest on. Think about the buildings. when they make a lot of advertisement, they get many people to buy and go to that houses, that apartments, that big skyscrapers. But maybe it's of the not use. You have to be careful on, are you showing off with the building, or are you really going to use? So you have to stop somewhere with the design and architecture, and also the style that people are doing. So this is the style important, is the applicability is important. Maybe the building is too fancy, but I cannot fit inside even in a small room. So you have to be careful on this. Is the infrastructure okay? So the rain is coming inside. So this building may be too fancy, but it's not the use. How am I going to solve the problem? How can I cope with the problem before I'm going to go bankrupt and die with the heart disease because I lost all my money? So you have to be careful. And at this point, when you have the problem, you start to ask questions. That was a very good point. You start to ask why. You collect your team. You try to analyze what's going on, right? Analyze and make a report. Hey guys, bring me a report. What's going on? Or I'll fire you all. And then they bring you a report and you think about the report. Yes, okay, there may be a problem here. My money is going down. Oh, I understand the situation. It's not about the company. We are totally perfect. It's about the COVID situation. Nobody wants to buy anything more. So it may be out of your concern. It may be out of the things that you may focus and solve it. So you have to be careful where to stand and what the problem is. Maybe it's not because of you. Maybe the market needs is different from now on. Maybe people don't want to wear shirts anymore. They want to wear big black suits everywhere to be one style, one size fits for all. So let's continue. Remember what you have observed in life, in your daily life. What do you find interesting? Why do you find interesting? For example, when I walk on the streets, what I find interesting is the new style of the guys, having their phones on their hand anytime, searching for TikToks and Instagram or social media. That's I find interesting. Why do I find interesting? Maybe it can turn into a research topic. The preferences. Why do I find it interesting? Because I feel old. Because younger people are doing something different. So I don't feel that I am fitting into their ideas of life anymore. So it's a topic of interest for me. And what about you? What do you find interesting in your life? Just maybe one thing. And please tell me, why do you find it interesting? Think about it. Give yourself some time. Don't rush. Just don't say there's a cat around here and I like it, and that's my research idea. I want to work on my cat. Think about it. Maybe you're very into PSP, PlayStation, but there's an Xbox over there too. You find it interesting too. Both of them are interesting. Should you buy both of them and test them, make a hypothesis? Which one is better? I have to find it and make a research on it, get good games, and make a research and make a report. Oh, PSP is the best. What are you going to do with the Xbox? Maybe you give it to charity. More people can play with the Xbox. What do you find interesting? And why do you find it interesting? Anybody? If you don't talk, I will move on. You can also write in the chat box. I can make your voice heard.
Maybe for me, because nowadays I'm still in my room doing online classes. Every now and then there will be heavy rain while there is still sunlight, heavy sunlight. So I'm curious why heavy rain comes while there is no clouds.
Heavy rain, no clouds. Is it possible? Really? Without the clouds, you have got heavy rain?
I don't know.
Maybe you don't go out to the window and see the clouds then. You just feel the rain on the roof. Any other ideas? Anything that you find interesting in life? Come on, guys, come on, please. You just want me to say something over and over. Please, just give me some ideas.
Okay,
You're going
for me,
to- Yes?
yeah. Can I join with the discussion, sir?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. What I like the most is the movie, yeah, because maybe I can imagine I'm being a superhero, so I can fly anywhere.
Oh.
With my capes.
Superhero movies and Batman, Catwoman. All right, Superman, superheroes. Okay, this is what you find interesting. That's very nice. Why do you find it interesting to be a superhero of my own? Maybe to save humanity from the bad, evil, and so on. So you've got a purpose here, right? You've got a purpose. Why? To save humanity from bad and evil. All right. Anybody else?
Maybe I like Japanese animation.
Ah, Japanese animation.
Yes.
Why do you find it interesting? Because of the eyes that they have or something?
I think the creativity in it.
Ah, creativity. All right, creativity, let's say. All right, we find this kind of things interesting. Please keep in mind, you can mute yourself and you can turn off your cameras, but please stay focused, stay with us, please. Okay, let's continue. Heavy rain, no clouds, these are some research topic of interest. Maybe you want to observe this in life. And let's come back to what is research. And maybe you thought about, you close your eyes about the research. Some people want to have a look at the heavy rain. Some people want to look at the movies with the superheroes and flying back and forth. And some people want to save the humanity from the evil. Some like Japanese animations because it's very creative. The design is very nice. And then we move on to animation from architecture. No more on architecture. I learn about the basic stuff of drawing and making design, but I make design for the cartoons, for animes. So this may be some ideas. But what comes to your mind may turn into some questions and you start to research for it to get more answers for yourself. So your topic of interest may turn into some ideas to solve the problem. Okay, I want to be a superhero. How can I be a superhero? Maybe I can't be a superhero, but I can go to charity to help people. Then I am going to save the humanity from the bad or evil. There is a way to be superhero. If you want to mean I want to fly, maybe that's not the way you can do because it's out of the limit. You have to know the limits when you do something. So you try to search for your urges. You try to search for example, Japanese animation. Okay, maybe I cannot go into the anime, but I can design good buildings and I can increase my creativity and make a good design to meet my urges, needs, wants, desires. So the heavy crowds and no clouds. Maybe your solution could be moving to a country where there is less rainfall, like a desert. So then you won't see any clouds and any rain. I know Indonesia has 2 seasons. One is the rainy, the other is not the rainy season. We can move to Turkey in summer to have more sunlight, no clouds and more sun. So by this way you can easily solve it, but maybe you cannot solve the situation in Indonesia because it's out of limit again. You have to know the limits. All right, let's clear this. Let's look at what research is. Okay, before moving forward, I want to show you some of the answers of some students in another class. Sorry. And some students said research is the investigation of an idea, subject or topic for a purpose. When they thought about research, what came up to their mind is investigation, the word investigation. And they extend their knowledge or explore a theory. It offers opportunity to investigate. So maybe this may be too much for a student idea, but when you look at what it says in general, it says that we extend knowledge and it enables us to explore something. So the good side here is to explore and extend the knowledge. Let's look at the second student. The methods used to obtain information from a variety of sources. Another student said, investigation and discovery, an opportunity to investigate a theory that requires further interpretation and greater understanding. And again, understanding, deeper knowledge, deepen understanding, a rigorous inquiry about an area which is of interest for various reasons. It may be an area which little is known, or an area which is causing concern. Yes, my cause of concern is becoming a superhero. My cause of concern is the clouds that I have and the rain that's coming every day, and I have bad internet connection and I can't listen to lessons. I'm in lockdown, I don't want to deal with the rain anymore. And also your cause of concern may be Japanese anime. Okay, this anime is very nice, but how can I do this on my own and see this and explore it in a way, the mangas and the other stuff that's going on. Watching more animes like Death Note, the other ones. Alright, discovery, finding out, study, looking in depth, investigation, reaching new ideas, conclusions. So this may pop up your mind. These are the things that may pop up your mind. Discovering, inquiry, deepen understanding, knowledge, ideas, conclusions. Or the term research for me a way of describing a systematic investigation. It can sometimes be accurately measured scientifically, or data collected can be analyzed compared to identify trends, similarities and differences. So this may be too much for a student. If I was a student, I really wouldn't be able to write some kind of sentence like this. But believe me, the general ideas that comes up to our mind is generally, let's collect them together, gaining knowledge, extending our knowledge, exploring something, investigation, discovery, deepening knowledge, finding out, studying, new conclusions, and these are the general ideas that comes to our mind when we think about research. Alright, let's move on. So, there are more things when you think about research. These are the words that may come up your mind when you think about research. You ask, you conclude, you critique, you look in depth, you discover, you inquire, you explore a new theory, you extend your knowledge, you evaluate something, you find out, you have new ideas, new information, new interpretations, new investigation, new measurement, new ideas, opportunities, perspectives, purposes, questioning, rigorous studies, scholarship. Oh, scholarship, that's a nice one. When you think about research, you have a scholarship. Because, why? Because you need the money to maybe have a scholarship. That's a research idea. You're finding ways to go to college for free. Now that's your research area. Find new ways to go to university for free. Scholarship ideas maybe. Subject, systematic, topic, trends, understanding, wisdom. There may be a lot of things when you think about research. Alright, in a general sense, let's look at what scientifically or in literature they said about research. Research means finding out. So it's nothing different actually what came to our minds. Finding out, deepening knowledge. So it's more or less what the literature says actually. So we are in the right track then, where we are looking at research. The types, methods that have in common the generation of knowledge. So you generate knowledge, right? New knowledge, new deepening knowledge, understanding, varying levels of detail, sophistication, generalizability. Research results in the creation of knowledge to solve a problem. So these are the main two things. Solving a problem, so there should be a problem around, and deepening your knowledge. So you try to answer to a problem by getting more knowledge on the situation, and you describe and understand things. In all these instances, producing new knowledge highlights the research process aiming at finding out. So you answer to a specific problem by collecting information and analyzing this information and producing new knowledge or deeper understanding in a situation. So research, again, this is a dictionary example. Research is a detailed study of a subject to discover new information and new understanding. So new information, new understanding. Now it's like new information, new understanding, new information, deeper knowledge. So it's like I'm shooting a gun to understand what research is. New information, new understanding, problem, solution, interpretation, conclusions, new questions. So don't forget that we always ask new questions to solve something. When you find a solution, this solution brings new problems actually. Think about the technology of our life. What did they say when they produced new technology in the world? They said this is going to make our lives easier, right? For example, Zoom is making our lives easier, right? But this brings new ideas, new problems. You can bring a lecturer from Turkey to talk about research together, but this may appear a problem. Oh, a connection problem, or attendance of students, or maybe let's say if it's not physical, you may not understand, or maybe you can easily skip school. Unmute yourself and stop your video and then go out. Don't forget, when you're in the classes, your scholars, maybe not in the university, but before university, always say, shh, shh, enough, don't talk too much, you're talking too much, that's enough. But when we come to online classroom, we always say, hey, please, give me something. Please, tell me something. Please, let's do something together and make a comment. So, this brings some new problems. How to engage students in the classes. So, questions brings answers. Answers brings new questions. It's a process of steps used to collect and analyze information to increase understanding of a topic or issue. So we try to understand new insights. We try to understand new things. So research is simply the process of arriving at dependable solutions to problems through the planned and systematic collections, analysis, interpretation of data. So don't forget, research is scientific investigation. It's a systematic process. It's based on empirical evidence. It's a changeable process. It should be ethically natural. It should be shared and made public, and it's a controlled process. I can't say that a research is just an observation. I'm going out in the fields and looking at the animals. Oh, they can jump very well. So my conclusion is that rabbits can jump very well. This is not a research. There's not even a problem. You just observe something. You just make some assumptions on your own. I'm thinking, can chickens fly very high? So you go out to a farm and look at the chickens. Oh, I saw some chickens that can fly very high. It's not even chicken. Maybe it's some different thing. You may not even know the chicken. So you have to know what your background knowledge is, and you have to differentiate what you have searched in the farm. So that farm that you are looking may not be generalizable to whole population. So you have to make it shared and made public. Maybe somebody already discovered what chicken is, what rabbit is, and how they can fly away. So you don't have to discover America again. It's already discovered. So you have to know what you should discover more. Maybe America is discovered, but one island just in the ocean near America is not discovered yet. So there is still some even small steps to discover more. So you should make it public. You should make empirical evidence. What do you think empirical evidence is? You cannot make just some assumptions without having something to prove. So you have to make some investigations, and you have to make some dependable and doable and showable evidence that you can do. You should be able to observe the outcomes. When I say, for example, which religion is the best one, you cannot answer this question because there is no empirical evidence around. You cannot prove it, and you cannot show the process. But when you say that how religions act on, let's say, killing people, You can make a research on this. You can collect data, look at the different religions and find their verses or maybe some teachings, and you see that killing people is very bad, and the other one says you can kill a person if he does something bad like this. So you compare, contrast, look at the ideas and look at the process, and then understand that maybe this religion acts more harsh on this topic and this one is maybe softer. This is used in this country, so you create and learn new knowledge about this topic. And you should be ethical. Even if you are Muslim, you cannot say that, oh, that penalty is the best in is Islam. No, it's not possible, because you have a bias on your own. You have to be ethically correct, and you shouldn't be racist. Why black people like hip-hop music more? So that may be an assumption, but it may not be ethically true. What do you mean by black people and hip-hop? How do you make this correlation? And to what extent we can name people as black or not black? So, but don't forget, if we didn't ask question, if we just say, okay, my teacher, okay, my guru, okay, my sheikh, then humanity wouldn't develop. We always ask questions to develop ourselves. Think of the cave example of Pluto. Think of Einstein. He asked many things. He made theories about relativity. He even helped for the producing of atomic bombs, even if it was not the aim. But humanity is developing. Humanity is getting new insights in life. And don't forget, curiosity brings answers. New answers bring new curiosities. So technology is making maybe our lives worse right now. They bring answers to our lives, but now we are working more than expected. Anytime, anywhere, any hour, we are working. We have got cars, but we have got big cities and the traffic congestion. So we were curious about going somewhere easier. Now we produce cars. Now they have traffic problem. Then we produce helicopters, but they have problems with the air. Then we thought about the, let's say, airplanes, but they may not be sustainable. So there are always new insights and new answers to problems. Alright, so how can be human change so much? Like change attitudes. Of course we can change our attitudes and look at the new rights. There was a comment in the chat box session. And research word comes from the French origin. It means search and search again. When you think about the replay, play again, like research, search again. So the searching process actually in itself, the word itself, is never ending. Searching, searching, searching more. So we should ask questions to serve. The cave example of Pluto is like this. There are two people stuck in a cave and there is a light coming back from there. It may not be that simple actually, and they don't see the light and they don't see outside. They just think about the cave that they have. If you just think about the world, the small world that you have, you cannot develop yourself. And only once in a while, one of them just turns back and see the light of the sun. So before seeing the sun, you may see the light, but you may not say that's the sun. And if you don't explore the world, you may stuck in your cave. You have to be careful. You have to turn your back to understand. You have to ask questions. I may give one example from 3,000-year-old tablets of writing, teaching from Egypt, as far as I remember. It says that, oh, young generation is very bad and they don't listen to their elders. Believe me that if young generations didn't ask questions and question the elders, they wouldn't develop. Even I am just 30 years old, but I still question youth. And I said, oh, we weren't like this. We were studying a lot. Now young generation don't care about the Z, Y, X, Z generation. They don't care. They just want to look at the life and they just want to travel around or something. No. Actually, no. We develop ourselves. We change. Maybe it's a bad change, we never know, but we should ask questions to change ourselves. Let's continue. So, why do we make research? We try to solve a problem, we contribute to existing knowledge, we try to become an expert on a topic, we try to make ourselves sourceful on a topic, we try to keep ourselves updated. We try to explore new phenomena. We try to produce new knowledge. We try to look at the basic source of knowledge. We try to have new designs. We try to discover solutions to problems. We try to produce policies. We try to test hypotheses. We try to make predictions. We try to discern the future. Actually, when you look at the word research, it's like the life itself. So actually, when you are going to the market, thinking about the easiest way to go to market, which one is the easier, with which one I take more or less step and don't make myself exhausted. So this is actually a research. You analyze the ways that you think about. You have a mind map in your mind, and you take the ways that you are going. So even that is a research. Don't forget about this. So the life itself kind of is a research. Don't forget. You yourself is a research. Maybe you are the research of your mom and dad. They thought about how life would be with a son or a daughter. Alright, but in the academic way, how do we make a research? We question first. We identify the problems that we have. We make a literature review. Because literature, it may not be possible. Because you have to look what was there before. Did people think about this idea before? So you learn about what they taught, and you try to find the niche. You try to find the gap that they didn't think before. So you try to fill in this small gap. Or even if you don't fill in the gap, you try to understand if what they taught and what they did in a different place would be applicable in my situation. So maybe you're not going to produce totally new thing, but you may change the outline and understand what may be next to my situation. You may design a building. It may be the perfect building, but in Russian conditions, not in Indonesian conditions. So it may be none of use, even if you do the best and you get a lot of awards and you become the best prominent architect in the world, but it's not usable, it's not practical in your situation. You have to look at the literature, what they did in your situation, to understand and deepen your knowledge and formulate your hypothesis. Okay, this kind of concrete is more applicable to my situation, and you make a test. Maybe a small test, maybe a big test. You build a big building and then your test fails, then you are not successful. You make a small scale study to test the concrete, and then, oh yes, this is a very good one and it's very durable to earthquakes, for example. And then you analyze it, you interpret your results, and then you consider what happened. Okay, a new question arises. So it starts from questions actually, and then what happens at the last? New questions. So maybe you think, okay, if a question brings a new question, why should I make this much of thing? But if you want to develop what you have as a question and make the next step easier, you have to ask more to understand it. Alright, so another step analysis. So you identify your problem, you make your topic, you analyze and make an introduction to topic. Why does this matter for you? Why you make this idea? Why you make this topic? So you make an introduction for the topic, and then you make a review of literature, and then you make a study design. Where are you going to apply this, let's say, study? But what are you going to do? How are you going to collect your data? What's your population? Where are you going to apply this? So you make a study design. I'm not talking about the simple observations, but I'm talking about the big ones in general. There are a lot of questions in your mind, but you have to have a specific way to deal with this problem and a way to look at the design that you have. By this, we can understand in what methodology you had while learning the problem, while searching about the problem, and with what kind of people, what kind of place you looked at this problem. And then you analyze, you interpret the data that you had, and then you reach some evaluations and conclusions, and you make a report about it. You can put any kind of ideas that you have, architecture, lifestyle, even think about the girlfriend that you have. Of course, you're not going to review of the literature before, but of course you have got the problem to solve. When you come to academical way, You have to have a study design. For example, are you going to do a survey? Are you going to make some questionnaires? Are you going to make interviews? How are you going to collect your data? Where are you going to apply this problem? Are you going to apply this problem in your university, in your community, in another place of the world, or you are going to share this to the whole world if possible? So these are the consents for study design and data collection. Another idea from Noonan says that research contains three elements. Maybe this is easier one. Maybe you may not remember review of literature and data collection, analysis, or maybe introduction, but you can make it as simple as three things. There's a problem, and by this problem you make an hypothesis. Problem and a hypothesis, and then your data, how you collect your data, how you analyze your data, how you make study design, and how you interpret the data is the last process. Analysis and interpretation. Data, question, analysis. So you can make it in 3 words for the research of academic way. And for research to be applicable, you have to have a good aim. You have to have a good purpose. You have to define your aim in a research. And the concept that you use should be understood by all. So when somebody is trying to understand what you have searched so far and what your topic is about, they should also understand in general. If nobody understands you, why you are making your research? To please yourself only? No, you have to make it share to the public and increase the knowledge for all humanity. You cannot write a book to just yourself. It's not a diary. It's a research. There's a problem there, and you should clearly state your aim. You should clearly talk about your purposes. If you don't have a purpose actually, then there is no research. If there is no question, if you don't have a purpose to solve, and then there is no research. Research is not just about graduating from a bachelor's degree or making a MA or PhD to get a degree in a university. Of course, that may be an aim to promote yourself in academic way, but it may not produce a good knowledge of understanding in life in academic way too. So your methods and procedures should be clear, carefully defined and planned, and you should declare all possible errors and limitations and their impacts on finding. The last sentence is also very important because you have to know your limitations. You cannot maybe reach out all the people. You cannot make a research with a lot of different maybe types of the things that you are going to cover. You have to be more specific and applicable impacts, because you cannot control everything in the research. You cannot control all the world. There are a lot of problems. There is unemployment problem. Even if you make a lot of efforts, you cannot solve the problem of unemployment in the world. But when you start with your community, with your village, with Yogyakarta, for example, you can give some assumptions and you can at least put a one more step to solve the problem. But when you say the whole world, no, it may not be feasible to understand. So, what's the research aims of BA, Masters and doctoral level? It's not about to prove things, actually. It's more to investigate, question, inquire into phenomena, explore issues. So, you don't try to prove things and you don't try to understand that I'm going to do everything in life. Actually, what you do is to inquire and explore new things. Many researchers either want to understand the situation more clearly and or to change things by virtue of their research, and some want to do both. So you want to change things or you want to understand more. But all the research is about asking questions, exploring things, and reflecting on what emerges to make meaningful, researchable data. Alright, how do you obtain information in life? In general, we obtain information by sensing. Alright, there's a smell outside. There's a smell. I understand that they made a good portion of let's say kebab or gula gula. They made something new. There's a good way of understanding. You sense it, you feel it, or you reason it. Maybe there's again smell coming outside, but you reason, oh, there may be a car crash and the fuel may blow up, or maybe the mountain Java is coming towards us, and then there is the ash is coming to my mouth or my nose. I sense it and then I reason it. That may be the problem. Oh, when you go out, oh, that's not the problem. Somebody burned some, let's say, small tires outside. So, or another way of getting information is sharing ideas. When you talk to your friend and they share their ideas and you get new knowledge on a topic, or consulting an expert in science. This is the biggest, maybe getting information in science or in academic way. You consult to an expert. Going to a doctor asking about your health condition is consulting to an expert. Or looking at the journals, looking at some academic writings or books is science. So you obtain information from the expert. Science is the expert also, and maybe the person who is in charge, maybe a doctor, maybe a tailor even, consulting about the cloth that you have is consulting to an expert. But for the research that you have, you may have scientific method but non-scientific method. When you approach the research intuitively, that comes to your mind, intuitive, I feel it, I can make this, then it won't be very scientific. But when you have the empirical data, you can have this scientifically. Or you make casual observations, then it may not be scientific, but if you make systematic and controlled observations, then it can be the scientific method. And when you make your report, for example, you are in a political party and you look at the people and you go to the officials of the party and say that people is really bad people and they don't support us. That's biased, subjective. Maybe they say the truth. You don't know. In the scientific one, you have to be unbiased, objective to get the results for yourselves. And the concept shouldn't be ambiguous. And in the scientific method, it should be all clear. Your definitions, your operational specificity, everything that you do should be clear. And the instruments that you have shouldn't be inaccurate, imprecise, but you should give accurate and precise in scientific method. And in measurement, in scientific method may be not valid and reliable, but scientific method is more valid and reliable. And your hypothesis should also be testable in scientific method, like in the empirical version. So it should be testable, empirical knowledge, observable thing with the systematic observation. And your attitude should be critical and skeptical in research. You ask, you have to be criticizing, you have to be skeptical about what they say. Okay, you know the best. No, you have to criticize, you have to understand. But the aim of it is not to criticize. The aim of it is to learn, not to say just negative things and ask questions. That's the bad way. No, you have to understand, analyze it, and you have to be critical in learning. Alright, one more thing. Sense and concern your surroundings. Is there any problem right now? What's your assumption? And how can you solve it? I give you maybe 2 minutes to think about it, 2 or 3 minutes. What's the problem that you sense? Okay, the problem right now for me, it is about 10 a.m. here and I'm hungry. I sense my stomach that's coming, saying me something. It's giving some sounds, boo, boo, eat something. What's my assumption? Oh, I may be hungry, yes. What's my idea to solve? I have to wait for the session to finish and then eat something. Or my idea to solve is to wait for my stomach to learn that I can stay hungry more. Because I am a big person, I have to lose some weight, so you should learn. You should, change your attitude. What do you sense right now about your surroundings? Somebody sensed about the rain at the start of the session. The problem is the rain. What's your assumption? Oh, there's no cloud, but still rain. How can you solve? You can solve this because it's too big. But maybe you can change the rooftop. Maybe you can add one more floor. Maybe you can go to underground and don't hear the rain, voice of the rain more. Maybe you can talk to the companies and say, what kind of an unstable internet is this? I cannot focus on my lessons. Bring me a good fiber optic or something internet around my house. Alright, this time I'm going to wait at least 2 people to say something, but not from my dear scholars, but I want from the students.
Okay. Please come, students.
Anybody?
Anybody? Hello?
Maybe me.
Alright.
Okay, so I'll try to talk about my research paper on my semester now. The problem is frequent floods caused by rain.
Can I get it again?
The problem now is frequent floods caused by rain. Now, and the assumption is that the people there does not mind it, so they let their house be flooded and they do not mind it. And the idea, or my idea to solve it, is to introduce a new architecture that can withstand floods. Okay, now that's my thesis for my last semester.
Oh, was it a good one?
I'm doing it right now.
You're doing it right now. Okay, I'm talking about that I am hungry, but you're talking about the construction or stuff. Oh, that's how you do things scientifically. I am not the scientific way. I can solve my situation by grabbing a piece of bread in my mouth. But you cannot do this. You have to analyze. You have to solve the situation. That's a very good one, Mohammed Kemal. Thank you very much. Any other ideas? If no, I will continue. Thank you very much for your beautiful minds. That's the problem of the 21st generation. Maybe you can look at the architectural design of online lessons. So try to solve the situation architecturally. Look at in the different sites. Maybe you're not going to design buildings. Maybe you're going to design new online lessons. All right, but that's a good one. Actually, I like this. There are a lot of floods caused by rain. Because of this, maybe people don't buy very fancy, let's say, furniture around the house. They buy simple. They try to live simple because they say, "Oh, my house is going to wash away anytime that the flood is coming, or a tsunami or something is coming," and then they don't mind it. They let it flow. And you want to introduce new architecture to stand against lights or to stand against the floods, actually to stand against the water. That's maybe a good way actually to think about the research on its own. That's a good one actually. But when you look at your surroundings, maybe easier one, maybe you had a problem on your own, on your surrounding. Maybe your houses went by the floods, but by this at least you try to find a solution to a problem. Maybe you may design a new architecture, but maybe this architecture will have other problems, infrastructure problem, or maybe monetary problem, or maybe getting some permissions from the government problem. There may be many other things that to consider around, and then by this you will have more questions on your mind. All right, I'll give you a name of the study here. This study is designed to investigate the competence of students to create the qualified architectural culture-based design. So maybe Mohammed Kemal designed some new buildings for the let's say the floods, against the floods, but maybe it's not about the culture of Indonesia, and people don't want to just sit in brick buildings that is not very fancy around, and maybe it's difficult to reach out the bricks. So the architectural culture based design may be different. So this is the aim of the study. By this aim of the study, you can have a look at some questions over here. So these may be some questions. Actually, Riefki is going to deal with the research questions. Sorry for taking his side a little bit, but by this aim of the study, you reach some questions and some assumptions. Do students with intermediate drawing, I will go back to the aim again, look at it carefully. The study is designed to investigate the competence of students to create the qualified architectural culture-based design. So I made this with culture-based, with qualified architecture and competence of students in general. Actually, one of my colleagues helped me to make this aim of study and these questions. I have to say. By the way, my wife is also an architect, graduate from Dicle University. Yes. Do students with intermediate drawing competence differ from students with basic drawing competence to make a creative architectural design? So that's a question. Do they differ in their competence to make their drawings? Another question may be, do students with higher cultural sensitivity differ from students with lower cultural sensitivity in analyzing the details of heritage buildings? And the last one, do students with higher empathy differ from students with lower empathy in designing the green-friendly public space? So you see, you have got an aim, but there may appear to be a lot of questions. These are just 3 of them. You can have more than maybe 10 questions by just one aim. So think about the questions that you have in mind, and think about the questions that you want to search for, because they may differ and they may help and they may increase your knowledge and put you to different sites. All right. When I come to types of research, actually there are a lot of different types of research, but of course I cannot focus on a lot of them because we only have limited time. Actually, we even have about 10 minutes or something left, but I can give a general idea, general gist of the different types of research. We've got descriptive research and analytical research. One of them is determining and describing, and the other one is establishing the way, actually, to make analysis. The other one is only to describe and determine the knowledge. Quantitative and qualitative, of course, it's not just only one sentence, but think about a Likert scale survey, the best, maybe a little bit best, and I'm natural, I don't like it, and it's the worst. So it's this is a survey. Think about a survey. This is like numbers I get from hundreds of thousands of people, and write the numbers that I have, and I see that this is the quantitative style of the research. In the qualitative one, think about the word quality. So you get experiences of people. You are making an interview and you get experiences of people. By this you make qualitative work of the research. And you can have conceptual or empirical one. You have abstract ideas in conceptual one. You try to understand this even if there is nothing around. You make a concept to understand the research. Or in the empirical one, of course a research should be more empirical side. Experimental research, you have to experiment on it and you have to make clear observations of the research that you have. And also applied and basic research. As we are in the basic research today, in the basic research we try to understand a general information for broader application, but in applied one, maybe you're going to do something for applied research, you're going to apply something, you have to find some solutions for having practical knowledge on a situation. Alright, basic research. It's from National Science Foundation. A worker in basic scientific research is motivated by a driving curiosity about the unknown. So in the basic research, you got a curiosity, but what's it about? It's about the unknown. When his explorations yield new knowledge, when you have the new knowledge, he experiences the satisfaction of those who first attain the summit of a mountain or the upper reaches of a river flowing through unmapped territory. So you explore the world. Think about the Magellan that went around the world for once, who is the first person to go the whole world, and he was trying to understand about the unknown. It's the basics of research. Discovery of truth and understanding of nature are his objectives. So in the basic research, we try to discover the truth and we understand the nature, and his professional standing among his fellows depends upon the originality and soundness of his work. So you have to give something original and sound, concrete ideas that you have. Creativeness in science is of a cloth with that of a poet or painter. So your creativeness is like the poet has, it's like a painting. So your research may be too dull, it may not have the elements of literature, but your creativeness level should be like a painter or a drawer or let's say a poet. Actually, you are making some kind of art by making some research. I want to focus on one more slide. Basic and applied research, to try to look at the differences between them. And basic research actually plays a key role in development in all of the innovations of the world. So in basic research, actually we try to change the outlines of what we have in the world. So making a smartphone is like a basic research. You have got a lot of information and you develop something. You make new innovations, and it actually plays a very good role in understanding the research. But in applied research, it more focuses on the development of technology and techniques. So you apply something new and you try to develop some technological ideas and techniques. I would like to say what the Albert would like to close my session with Albert Einstein's quotation. That's my last slide actually. Play is the highest form of research. What does this mean? What do you feel by this word? Play is the highest form of research. I will finish with this. What do you feel by this word? That's my last slide actually. I will finish by this. What do you think about this quotation? Play is the highest form of research. Any ideas?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
In my opinion, play is the highest form of research. Is some kind like it's possible to divide it into two meanings from that sentence. Firstly, play is the highest form of research. It comes from the research is possible to do from the simple things like what we did in a regular day and an extra. And then the number two is if you want to do a research, it needs to be come from ourselves, come from our needs or some things and stuff. And then those kind of research that we do the research is following our what we said, following our patience. It's not, we don't have any like a pressure or everything, so it's some kind like that we do the research, and also it's some kind like a play.
Yes, of course. That's very nice comment. I like this. Actually, if you are going to talk, there's how many people? 90 people. If they are going to talk, actually, we will have very different insights and very different ideas. I believe in you. But of course, I understand that we in the online lessons, it's kind of scary to talk about something. But as far as I get from the few people that talk, you got a very good gist of understanding of the research. Think about a kid who is playing around. don't you think that he or she, the small baby, is exploring the world? It is exploring, but how? By playing. Maybe the girl or the boy is playing with the mom or the dad with some toys, bringing some cups and making some tea to you, or making let's say kinds of applications, that the tools that the small kid has. So by this they're playing, but they're also researching, they're also trying to understand the world, they're exploring the world somehow. These are the kids. Don't forget, this research may be too boring, too dully for you, but it's a very good form of having understanding the life itself. I want to say thank you. I only added teşekkürler from Turkish, terima kasih from Indonesian, bahasa, and also thank you for English in the last slide. You can see my email address over there, and you can reach out me anytime. I'll be around for Turkey. If you want to make some research on architectural designs of Turkey, I may not be helpful. I'm sorry for this, but I can do my best to help you around for anything that comes up. All right, that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed the sessions. Actually, I tried to do my best. Thank you very much for having me over there. If you have any questions, I will still be here. You can write from the chat box, or you can unmute yourself for the questions that you have. I'll be waiting for any question that comes up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cihad. We are really so sorry that Mr. Riefki have lost signal. So I will moderate to this question Q&A session. So student or lecturer have a question, you can raise hand, and okay, and you can also to write in this chat box. Any question?
There is no question. Everything is solved. If there's no question, there's no research anymore. So maybe any feedback. I hope you have, it was okay. Maybe you can improve this by making this. I am all available for any structured feedback, any criticism, because also it's also in the research. You have to criticize a little bit. I'm open to any bad or good criticism too, positive or negative.
Okay, can I ask you something, Mr. Cihad?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. Yeah, I think they're so broad, and I think maybe student can start to getting deeper with your from your presentations to their case studies on their research. What intrigues me is one point about actually I'm starting. I had some questions myself. It's but maybe part of the research. When we are doing the research, should we always formulate the hypothesis? I don't know. maybe you can enlighten me with that kind of information. Maybe sometimes I rather confused about that also.
So actually,
maybe that one.
So do we need a hypothesis? That's the question, right? Do we need a hypothesis to make a research? I'm going to show you one more thing, just a moment, to show you about the hypothesis process, if I can find it. Just a moment, because what I want to show is that because we always ask questions to make hypothesis. By this hypothesis we have new insights. Just a second. All right, look at the slides, a little bit of slides, how we make some hypothesis in research. But we have got a problem in general, right? We identify the problems, and we identify our scope of research, and then we identify some research questions. We have got some aims to do. Actually, my aim is to solve a problem, right, in general. And then I ask some questions to solve this, research questions or some assumptions that I have. If I do this, maybe the result will be like this. Can I do this? If I want to apply this. So you make some ideas and you formulate some research questions, and then you have some research objectives. These all goes to hypothesis. So after having this problem and some questions about the problem, you hypothesize something. Will I be able to do this or not? Actually, the hypothesis that you have is the answer that you are seeking for. You are trying to find some answers to your problem. And these assumptions, this hypothesis, takes you to the research that you are going to conduct. Actually, if you don't have the answers, if you don't try to find the answers, then you may not have the hypothesis itself. But research brings the hypothesis that you have. Unfortunately, I have to say that you have to have some hypothesis around.
Okay. Thank you very much for your explanations. Please.
You're welcome.
Please,
Guys.
Student, any question to Mr. Cihad? Let's go.
Okay, I think that we are done now then.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us. Actually, Riefki is not around to moderate the session, so I have to close the session on my own. As far as I learned from your experience, you close the sessions by reciting Alhamdulillah, right?
Yes, yes. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for having me here. We'll meet in other meetings. Goodbye for everyone. Have a good life. Have a good life. Have a good life. Have a good day, and have a good research ideas that you have for this semester.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much,
much.
Mr. Cihad.
Mr. Cihad.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cihad, for your lecture. And we are so sorry that Mr. Riefki can join us because I have a bad signal. So I will make some conclusion about our lecture today. To start research, we need to obtain the information with sensing, reasoning, sharing ideas, consulting an expert and science. And also we need to sense and conquer to your surrounding. We need to have one or maybe form the small equation to start our research. I hope this conclusion make you a point for our lecture today. So because of Mr. Riefki can join with us in the second session, so I will close this sporting lecture series today. And Mr. Cihad, thank you for our to have a great enjoy to our about research today. So I hope we have a good apa namanya? I hope we have a next session with you, inshallah. Maybe if you have any time. So thank you so much for everyone, Pak Gale and Mas Nasrullah, and thank you Bapak Ibu dosen, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Pak
Maybe
Gale,
I can close the session.
yes,
Yeah?
okay.
Thank you very
yes.
much, Mr. Cihad.
Thank you.
Lecturers, thank you very much, and students, thank you very much. I will close the sessions right now. Okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam.